quite a bit of change out of £1,500. It's incredible, really.
That's a hell of a lot of guitar for the money.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. It's still the case now where if someone's playing an amplified acoustic on stage, well, you know, I mean, Taylor, there's a good chance.
Yeah.
It'll be there. I saw David Gilmour on a thing, he was playing a Taylor, you know.
Yeah.
And with people like that, you tend to think, yeah, they could probably have anything.
You can't ever, with Taylors, in my experience, pick fault with the quality of the craftsmanship. They're fantastically built. Hi, I'm Neville Marten.
And I'm Richard Barrett.
Welcome to another Guitarist Tone Lounge. Today we're looking at a couple of Taylor 50th anniversary models. Richard has the
217E SB-PLus LTD.
Wow, I presume LTD stands for limited edition.
It does.
And I have the 50th anniversary Builder's Edition 314CE, CE cutaway electric, and this is also limited edition. And apparently they are very limited, aren't they?
Yeah, 1,974 worldwide, because 50 years from 1974. And it seemed like only yesterday.
It did to me, yes, like your shoes.
Yeah, they are from yesterday.
Right, okay. Do you want to do yours first, a quick overview of yours first?
Sure. I have a torrified Sitka spruce top. The torrification is supposed to give it that played-in sort of feel, so that, because that was always the thing, wasn't it, where people would talk about you have to play guitar for a few years, and I heard stories about a classical guitarist leaving his guitar leaning against a hi-fi that was timed to come on loudly twice a day while he was on holiday.
It's true.
Just take it
it's
with
true.
you.
I went to an amplifier company in California, and they had a thing where they had a massive speaker, and they would rent it
Right.
to age people's acoustic guitars.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it does work.
So, I mean, I don't know what they were charging for the rental, but you won't have to pay for that.
No, you won't have to, but exactly.
One of these.
Okay, carry on.
There's
Torrified.
torrified Sitka spruce top, so that's a classic tone wood. And the same thing with the back and sides, which are layered Indian rosewood. Now, it would be easy to be cynical about that, wouldn't it? And say, well, you mean laminate. But I have to say that word's become more associated with flooring, hasn't it, now, rather than guitar back and sides. And this looks way more classy than a laminated
I think it's fair
floor.
enough to call it layered.
Yeah, I think
I'm
why not move away from that?
The quality of the woods on this will be rather different to what you'd...
I mean, it's beautiful, actually, really beautiful.
In a way, it's a way that they can use a nicer grained wood, because if that was solid and they'd chosen a grain of that quality, you'd probably find it would be a very expensive piece of wood. And to be honest, on the back and sides, it's far less
that's what
crucial,
I was
isn't
say.
it?
Yeah, it's not. We're really splitting hairs with that, aren't we? Yeah, there's sort of back and sides. It's not a solid back and sides, though, is it? You think, well, I can't really hear that, to be honest.
Yeah, no, exactly. Although we do always brag when they are. So,
of course.
But it's horses for courses, and the price of that compared to the price of this, which we'll come to later, is quite telling.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a mahogany neck. Now, what do they call that? It's neo-tropical. Yeah. So I've got to be honest, I'm not even sure what that means.
No, I have a feeling it's an African sourced wood, as is their ebony.
Oh, the ebony fretboards, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's proper woods, and the neck is the slim. I think they call it the easy playing neck. Well, it certainly is easy playing. It's not much different from holding a good solid body electric guitar. It's not some slim kind of 80s type neck, but it's
one of the things they've prided themselves on forever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Taylor, their playability.
Yeah.
But also they husband their own ebony.
Yes.
So they actually work with the people, the East African ebony growing people, and they look after them. They make sure it's all fair trade. In fact, the ebony on this, there's a little orangey dot on there.
Yeah.
Because they say, Bob Taylor's always said, you don't need perfectly black ebony. Ebony with stripes in it is great. Ebony with marks in it is great. And I totally agree. If this guitar was stolen, you'd say, mine's the one with the dot at the 11th fret. And, anyway, I digress, sorry.
Well, I mean, that's apart from the hardware, I mean, we've got these lovely, we've got slightly different tuners, haven't we? But these are go-to style, they're Taylor branded.
Yeah.
I must say that tuning the guitar up, everything is just cut so beautifully in the nut. There's absolutely no clicks or friction or, that sort of delayed response. We go, oh, it's sharp now, I must have to tune it down. It just tunes beautifully. And it's got the ES2 electrics, I think we both have.
That's the expression system 2.
So, rather than an under-saddle pickup, we sort of know what they're like, aren't we?
It's their ubiquitous pickup that it's been in Taylor's since after the Expression 1, which is this is a vast improvement. It's quite a flat sounding. Yeah. It's not kind of, it doesn't create this amazing bloom of beautiful acoustic sound. It's more of a jobbing to me.
For that, really, don't you?
It's what you want. You want to plug it in the PA. The guy out front, girl out front, twiddle some knobs, and you sound great.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know, it's like you were talking about your own acoustic, that you go in the studio and you've got to pull frequencies out.
There are a couple of frequencies that I generally always go for, And these are behind the saddle as well, aren't they, rather than under the saddle? Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing, and Taylor don't make rubbish stuff. It's all very, very good. It's very well thought out.
Certainly not.
So, this is great. So, what else have you got? Have you got a scarfed on headstock on that?
Yes, I have. There we go. Just round the back there. So that's super strong. And it's got
super strong.
We've both got this, but we've got the jack with the battery compartment there for the preamp. I personally have always liked, speaking of that, the fact that we got volume, bass and treble, and I really like the simplicity of it.
I do too, totally. The ones with all the great big plastic thing or their metal thing on there, they're great, and they do all the stuff, and they've got the tuner, which is fantastic. But sometimes in the heat of the moment,
or in the dark,
when it's dark, or the lighting on the stage isn't good, you don't know where you are. So once you've learned where the treble...
I actually had this happen to me. It was a borrowed 12-string guitar, lovely guitar, lent to me by a friend of mine, and I was starting this song playing the 12-string, and it was at a festival show. It was being filmed, and I had to start playing, and I went, and it was because of the tuner button was in, and it took quite a while to work out
what is wrong.
What was wrong?
Yeah. Oh well, I'm glad you got it sorted in the end.
Because the tuner button muted.
Can we look it up? Is it something we can search for?
It might be on YouTube. It was actually, I was playing The Power of Love with Holly Johnson.
Oh,
remember that? But I think what they did, because it was being filmed for Sky Arts, they took another performance that I'd done of it, maybe another year, because they used to do it every year, and they just dubbed that on.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, we'll all be looking it up tomorrow.
But even though you couldn't hear it, I have to say I played it particularly well that day.
Fantastic, I'm sure. So are you through with your features on this one?
I think so for the moment, yeah.
Okay, this one is the Builder's Edition, and if you know Taylor guitar, the Builder's Edition is a bit of a step up from the standard stuff. Here we've got, I love this, that Taylor do this quite a lot, the kind of the four-arm chamfer. It's a very tricky thing to do on an acoustic guitar. But it's very nice.
And I must say that I've actually really suffered without that in the past. Yeah. Standing up playing acoustic and then come away afterwards and sort of look at the state of my arm.
I know. This one is also a torrefied top. Torrefication is it's a heat treatment where it makes the molecules in the wood do certain things, and they can actually tune it to a decade pretty much. And that they do. I mean, I've had a couple of guitars with torrefied tops, and it does sound played in. There's no doubt about it. This one again, I've ebony fingerboard. I've got these nice inlays in there as well, which are very pretty, and the Taylor inlay and headstock logo in pearl. This one is an urban ash body, and I love that finish on there. That's really, really nice. It reminds me a bit of the old, dare I mention another brand name, Gibson Cremona finish that they did on their very early,
like the violin,
Lloyd Law archtops.
Oh
yeah.
yes, yeah.
It is named after the violin thing, and it's very much like, this is called Kona burst, not tobacco sunburst.
Oh, that's what my one is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And we were wondering whether Kona, being a coffee brand, whether this is a coffee burst. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we're overthinking it. But this is a very, very pretty guitar. It's got those lovely Goto sucked lozenge
Yeah, and they're
tuners
slightly
on it.
aged, aren't they?
And
as
they're
well?
aged as well. And this has got really quite cute because it's got sunburst round the rear of the headstock and down the neck as well. That's a really, really pretty thing. And that very simple but lovely white purfling around the edge there.
Yeah, all those details are just immaculate, aren't they?
It's simply done, but there's you can't ever, with tailors, in my experience, pick fault with the quality of the craftsmanship. They're fantastically built, and as Richard said, the neck is such, it feels like it could be on a guitar from 1959. And they play really easily, straight out of the
yeah,
box.
the factory setup's great.
In fact,
yeah.
I picked this out of the case that's sitting behind me when I came in this morning, and I haven't tuned it. I didn't tune it then. I haven't tuned it since. And bracing wise, they're slightly different, aren't they?
Actually, I forgot to mention that when I was talking about the features. Yeah, I have the C-class bracing. So I think I've got one going straight across here, one going diagonally across like that, and I think one going all the way down,
Right.
which apparently gives volume and sustain. And I don't know about extra low end, but it's certainly focused.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got the V-class bracing, which is the later version, and essentially, it's they go down there to a V, down here, and there are two going there, one going there, one here, and it's said to enhance pretty much everything. Also, and I can't work out how this can be, but they say it's true, it enhances the intonation accuracy.
Okay.
And I have to say, this is incredibly in tune.
Actually, yeah, we've had a little play with these, haven't we?
Yeah.
Just all the way up, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's dead on.
Actually, I took a risk there because I know we're filming, and I thought, well, I'll go for that. Sometimes when you play an octave with the fifth in between, you can really, even on a very in-tune guitar, but that absolutely sat with it. So
Yeah, and to aid that, the bridges are both compensating,
yes,
aren't
yeah,
they?
yeah, they are.
So,
yeah,
But like you said, I've got a black saddle on here, beautifully cut. There's no sharp edges, which you even do see on top-end guitars.
yep.
And we criticise regularly. But that's kind of an overview, and in fact quite a close overview, really.
Yes, actually, and one extra thing that I might add, if I may, is that the frets are quite like electric guitar frets. I mean, they're not super high, are they? But they're more a medium jumbo sort of feel. You sometimes get these really tiny frets on acoustics, and I know that's not a problem. I mean, I'm not looking to play it like an electric really, but I quite like this kind of fret.
Yeah, I do too. It's one of those things where I sometimes say in reviews, if you don't know it's there, it's good. I hadn't even thought about the frets.
Yeah.
They're not intrusive. They just do the job that they're supposed to do, which is to create a note when you do that or that. It's
absolutely,
it's
without any
simple.
buzzes or
without
anything.
any buzzes.
I suppose the other thing that I should mention before we go any further, as well as because that's the USA factory, isn't it?
It is.
Well, this is California as well, but this is the Baja,
Which is essentially Mexico.
Mexico.
It's the peninsula that goes isthmus.
Yes.
Isthmus, is it?
Oh,
Goes
I know,
down.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nice drive, though.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But this is made in. It says so in here, Cajun, California, USA. So this is the builder's edition. This is kind of the $3,000 mark.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
and yes, absolutely. And I suppose the the retail prices will vary. This is $13.99. It's showing up for in British pounds. Yeah, I
think it's more or less the same in US dollars. It translates more or less the same. But we like them. They sound good. They sound focused. They work for strumming. They work for picking.
Yeah, you're right about the focus as well. Easy to put a microphone in front of. I mean, I guess that's one of the things where some guitars sound lovely when you're sat playing them, but then you hear what's coming back and you think, right, there are a load of resonances that the microphone doesn't like.
Yeah.
And these don't seem like they have that really.
So do you think we should get on to some sounds?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Good idea. Okay, we've done a bit of playing. They sounded nice together, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Really do work nicely, whether it's picked or strummed or whatever. What we're going to do now is a direct head-to-head comparison, and Richard will play something on that, something on this. I'll do the same, and then Richard will do something again. We'll do a bit of strumming, a bit of picking, and a bit of fingerstyle.
Yes.
Just to give you an idea, and there'll be stereo mic'd, and then somewhere in the middle, our engineer is going to mix in some of the ES2 so you can hear what it sounds like with the ES2. And we'll take it from there. Sitting about a metre away as you are, and you've heard both the guitars, how are they sounding between each other to your ears?
I mean, the volume levels seem very similar, but what I think I'm noticing with this one is it extends a bit further into the bass end and a bit further into the high end, whereas that's kind of focused, sweet mids.
Yeah.
Not that it sounds middly, it's just, and it's quite subtle. I don't even know if that's going to come out particularly well for the viewers but I definitely feel that with it on my knee.
I had exactly the same thoughts before you said it. This is, we've used the word focused before, but this is very focused, but in a really nice way. I mean, like most kind of, this is a grand auditorium size, and most small-bodied guitars, relatively small, folk-ish guitars like this, they tend to be more focused. And
Yes.
it tends to be often why finger pickers go for them rather than the bigger dreadnoughts, which are archetypally
They're a bit kind of
renowned as-
dished in the mids, aren't they?
Yeah, I do like dreads. I think a dread
Yeah,
will do
yeah.
anything. But this is very nice.
When you play the G chord like that, there's a nice thud from the G. It's not like there's any lack of bass
No.
or anything like that. So that's the Grand Auditorium, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think I've mentioned that this is the Grand Pacific.
Yeah,
So it's slightly
yeah.
different. So.
That's a newer shape, isn't it? That the
Right.
the American series
Sort
one
of
with the
the
black
round
top,
shoulder.
which we
yeah,
really
the black
liked.
top. I remember that
That's a
one.
great
Yeah, I
guitar.
like that one.
But there, that sounds nice. They work really nicely
They do,
together.
actually.
Really nicely
they do.
together. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if you were to totally simplify it, which is ridiculous because we've said before, despite preconceptions about a dreadnought does that, you know, a small body does that, all guitars do everything. But that does, you can see that being a great big strummer that would really work like that.
I mean, it's definitely. Yeah, you can really dig in, and then you can.
Yeah, that definitely isn't as focused as this, is it?
Yeah, there's a frequency. Yeah.
It's very much that kind of thing. But with the pick, we're both using these vegan picks, which are actually designed as bluegrass picks, but they work for everything.
Yeah.
But they've got lovely.
That was my attempt at bluegrass. I was just wondering if it'd make me better at bluegrass, and I have to say no. But
Yeah, but then I mean, playability-wise, I haven't ventured up there at all. But this has also got a slight dressing away of the cutaway, which echoes that rather nicely.
Yeah, I think this is available with a cutaway. I'm not sure if it's available with the kind of chamfering.
But this works like this. This is a great shape and size for the stage.
Yeah.
Or, you know, basically anything sitting around on your sofa. It's a cool little guitar.
Yeah,
and I do love
record
the finish.
great. I mean, I think you could make that work for anything on a recording, couldn't you, as well?
Definitely. I mean, we haven't had anything detrimental to say about Taylor guitars ever since we've been doing the tone mode.
I mean, and I think certainly quite a bit of change out of £1,500. This is incredible, really.
That's a hell of a lot of guitar for the money.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah,
it really is. It's
I mean, and
very
it looks great too. I know that people say, "Oh, it shouldn't matter," but it does, though. Really, I mean, don't worry.
Well, anybody looking at that isn't going to know whether it's a £1,400 guitar or a £3,400 guitar. It just looks like a Taylor. They haven't done any compromises to how it looks or feels or plays or anything. It's all in those other things. I mean, this, for instance, this Urban Ash. I love the Urban Ash concept. The urban woods that Taylor have been using, essentially, they're woods that have grown old or have become perhaps dangerous due to storm damage or something in the streets of the American cities. And so they take the trees down and they use them, which is great for every reason under the sun, isn't it? Sustainability.
Yeah, it's taking the trees down anyway.
And everything. Yeah. And they look great. Look, the grain on that's really pretty, really nice.
Yeah.
I can't actually fault this guitar at all. All right, where should we go from here? What do you think value-wise?
Well, I think that I think this is great value at less than £1,500. Really good value.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite exciting for someone that's got £1,500 and they want to go shopping for an acoustic guitar. I mean, I remember being in a dealership up in Scotland a few years ago and having some time to kill, and they specialised in acoustics. I can't remember the name of the shop, unfortunately, but I played quite a lot of guitars that day, and I must say that every tailor I picked up was, I just realised how consistent they were. It was before we were doing tone lounges, you know, it was a few years ago. But,
I remember my first tailor, I got it in, I would say, 94. It was a 912C with all the floral stuff up the fingerboard. It was very nice. And I took it, we were doing a gig, and I took it to the gig, and there were quite a few people there. Joe Brown was on the gig, very well known. Joe Brown did the close of the George Harrison concert with I'll See You in My Dreams, which you might remember. Guy I play with, Marty Wilder, lots of other names from the past, if you like to use that term, were on the gig. And I took this tailor along, and I showed it to all the guys in the bands, and they all said, "Oh, wow, what's that?"
Yeah.
They all played it. They said, "It plays like an electric guitar," and they're all struggling away with the big old things. And it was a real eye-opener. Not to mention the build quality. And we've said before, companies like Taylor and I'll say PRS, they did kick the big boys somewhat into upping their game.
It's still the case now where if someone's playing an amplified acoustic on stage, wow, you know, I mean, Taylor, there's a good chance it'll be there. I saw David Gilmour on a thing, he was playing a Taylor, you know. And with people like that, you tend to think, they could probably have anything.
And if it's good enough for you.
But
I mean, mine is about £3,000 UK price. Most of the shops have got them 2,999 ish, something like that. This is the Builder's Edition, which is, you know, it's got all those nice appointments, and they are things to like if you can afford that kind of money.
I think that's really practical as well, because I've had such a sore forearm when I've been strumming away on the acoustic, especially standing when you're in the sort of position. So and if you do get up to dusty end, as I'm sure Richard does, I don't. I kind of stick up down there. On acoustic, I tend to prefer not. But
do you?
But these sound pretty good up there.
If you want it, you know, if you wanted to do some kind of flamenco-y type things up there, you can do all that stuff. But it's just beautiful. This has got a kind of satin finish to the top. Has yours got a satin?
Yeah, no, mine's pretty high gloss actually. In fact, I'm trying not to hold it at the wrong angles, otherwise it's a bit like a Thin Lizzy gig otherwise.
Well, I'm trying not to get my finger paws or paw marks all over this. But this is satin from top to toe, and very, very beautifully executed. It's really nice. They both got bolt-on necks, which is a Taylor speciality.
Yes, absolutely. So the reset process will be really easy, should that ever need to be the...
I'm actually having my old Taylor, having some work done to it at the moment. They had to take the neck out and do couple of little repairs where dents had happened in the neck. Yeah. But it makes it much easier, and you don't have to mask the body up and stuff. Take it out, work on the neck, but put it back in again. Bosh. They look cool. I like the styling of Taylors. You know, that I've said before. There's something about the bridge that kind of echoes the headstock, the curl, the swerves and stuff like that.
And the sort of, I like the kind of elegant solution approach in the way the combined jack socket and the battery
it's very,
cover.
Very
both
handy
got
how that works.
And it's so nice to have something like that. It feels as if it was designed, as if it was the concept was come up with by someone who's done a few gigs and knows what you need. The same with the 3 control system.
They don't give you what you don't need. It's so easy in this digital age to give you everything that could possibly have, and when you don't want it or need it. Yeah,
well, it's just so easy to hit a button and you've swept to the wrong mid-frequency or whatever.
Exactly.
And I do realise that not everyone's got top flight sound people working with them or anything, but I think that these are pretty well voiced. Something, as you said, the pickup's quite flat. There aren't loads of resonances coming out, so chances are you'll be all right plugged straight into a pretty basic PA if you EQ it sensibly and don't stand in front of a speaker at massive volume. It's going to be all right, isn't it?
Exactly. So what's your final thoughts?
I'd happily take either of them, really. I tend to like this kind of round shoulder thing. Maybe it's a bit of a Beatles thing for me. You know, I'm not going to drill the top and put a volume and a tone knob in there.
Or a P90 at the neck.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. For natural acoustic sound, not. I mean, I think they've done it again, haven't they? Really, we've played a few of these, a few Taylor guitars over the past couple of years, and they always seem to just be straight out of the box. They don't need anything doing.
No.
I mean, it's not that loads of makers have that, but I've often found that I just kind of like to do a little tweak here or there, or you recognise maybe that there's a factory setup that is fine, but you probably go immediately from the shop to the luthier. And
exactly. And the other thing about it is, it's one of the names. It's one of the big names. You know, you can say PRS has done the same thing. It's the third big brand in its world, and this is the third big brand. I'm not saying number 3, but it's of the in the top 3.
It's a newer.
It's
brand,
a newer
isn't it?
brand, and it's it up there with the better known ones who have longer heritages. But 50 years, it doesn't seem like 50 years since I played my first Taylor.
Wow.
And it wasn't 1974. It was probably 1986. I played my first Taylor.
Yeah.
So, you know, a long time ago.
I think 1974 I was around, but I hadn't picked up a guitar yet. I think I might have had a plastic ukulele about then.
Yeah.
And whatever company made that, I don't think it was Taylor.
And I don't think
it's still going.
No.
Probably doesn't deserve to still be going.
And I wish I had this instead of my Rossetti Lucky 7. Which, why did Gary Moore start on a Lucky 7? I think Dave Gilmour started on a Lucky 7.
Right.
So, anyway, enough of our waffle. I'm very impressed with both of these. They both do the similar jobs in a way, in slightly different ways.
Yeah. It's kind of, I suppose it's more, which style do you prefer? I mean, this is available with the cutaway as well.
Yeah, I mean,
and what's your budget?
If you're playing on stage and you want to look a bit rock and roll, then this is it. But then that looks rock and roll. I don't know. It's
well, maybe if I'm not holding it.
But no, I mean, this has got a very cool modern look to it with the all its appointments.
Actually, yeah.
And I like the tiger stripy pick guard on this as well.
Yeah.
And even the little point, it echoes the points on there. So the thought's gone into it from top to bottom. It's nice.
Yeah, it looks right. Yeah,
Great
I like the
guitars,
material,
great
the pick guard material on it. Yeah.
Well, all I can say is happy anniversary, Taylor. You've done it again.